Hey, this is Rob Charney, Old Guy Tech TV, and I'm here today with Sheriff John DeAugustini. And guess what, folks? We have some news for you to know out there. John, you're running unopposed.
Yes, I am.
That means you're the winner. Oh. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
good campaign.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing. I can stay focused on the direction we're going and don't have the distraction of running a campaign. So I'm very, very blessed. We're very happy.
That's great. That's great. That's good. That's always good news when we have a good candidate. And we have the best.
Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned. So thank you very much for watching and joining in. We're hoping, remember, we have a call-in line, 530-621-1210. 621-1210 is our call-in line. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. The sheriff would love to hear from you. And we have some questions. We've got some Facebook questions from a Facebook group and a few other questions that we've thought about. And John's here to just kind of answer what's going on and how things are. So we got the biggest part out of the way. You won.
Well, June I'll actually win and then be sworn in again next January.
That's right. It's a good deal.
Yeah, unopposed. I'll be the only sheriff candidate on the ballot.
That's the way to do it. So,
and then
I think it's the way to do it. So, we'll start out with a few of the questions that they have, and then I got a pretty big question because I need to ask you too. So, what did the sheriff plan to do to deal with the homeless issues? And they went on to ask if he had thought of joining the PPD, Placerville Police Department, in a task force. So, what do you got going on that?
This is a very delicate subject, and I understand that.
Right.
I have said
it's emotional.
It is very, very emotional. I have said, and I think I've said it on this show as well, and some people agree with me, some people don't. The homeless issue, in my opinion, we've made it a government issue.
Right.
And I don't believe this is a government issue. This is a social issue.
Okay.
It's a community issue, and I really believe that the churches have the answer. The faith-based organizations, no matter what they are, they do have plans and they do have answers for this. Mm-hmm. What gets in their way a lot of the times is county ordinances, county rules, zoning issues, things like that.
Health issues, that type of thing.
Yeah, if the counties and local governments would get out of the church's way, I believe that we wouldn't see some of the issues that we're seeing. I believe that they would be able to alleviate a lot of the problems that we're seeing. Now, keep in mind, you really have two totally different sets of homeless. Mm-hmm. You have those that are homeless by no fault of their own. They've fallen on hard times. They're trying to work through it. They're trying to get their feet back up under them and get back out there and find a place to live. Then you have the ones that are homeless by choice. They want to be homeless. They don't want to be part of the system. Right. They just want to be out there. They want to be off the grid. And that's fine too. Right. As long as they do it in a legal manner, they're not squatting on your property, they're not camping, and they're not making messes or whatever. Now, intermingled in both of those groups, mostly in the ones that want to be homeless, there is a certain a population that is serious mental issues, mental health issues.
And we've covered that mental issue in the show before.
We have covered that. And, typically those are the ones that end up in our jail.
Right.
That de facto are now the mental health facilities of California.
Right.
Our jails and our prison system.
That's right. Yes.
And when we talked about that, the ideas that we've had about moving forward and the state coming up with that. As far as joining with Placerville Police Department, we deal with the homeless issues as they arise. Whenever there's issues, homeless camps on private property, they're in places where they shouldn't be, they're causing problems, whatnot. We deal with that, and we deal very well with Placerville PD, and we do work together. To actually come up and set up another task force, a team, or whatnot, at this point, I don't see the necessity of it.
Right.
I don't see the need.
It's a duplication.
Yes, I really do. We work. We deal with the homeless issue with keeping our vision statement, the El Dorado County's vision statement, total enforcement, total care, and total professionalism. the total enforcement side of it, but also with a lot of compassion. Because, like I said, there are those that, they're homeless by no fault of their own. If we can get them in touch with a local church that can help them out in a certain way, or a local support group, or a county agency that can provide some type of assistance, we always are working with those. Our CIT, our crisis intervention team at the sheriff's office that deals with the mental health issues, and also a lot of the homeless, they're do outreach to these folks and are working with them from time to time, or as often as they can, to alleviate the issue. One of the problems that we have, or that we're realizing now and where we're at, is when they started Hangtown Haven, it was a good idea, and I get that, and it is an emotional issue.
It is,
but it's kind of the bird feeder problem. If you put the bird feeder out there,
it's give a man a fish or teach him to fish.
There you go.
That's what it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we've ended up with. We do have an elevated homeless population in the county now, because I've heard stories that people have come from all over this nation. Hey, I hear you have a homeless camp.
Right.
Wait a minute. You have to be an El Dorado County resident to even qualify to be there. Now they're here. Now where do they go?
Yeah.
So,
well, they can go to Santa Monica. They can.
They can. But it's a sensitive issue. It needs to be dealt with compassion, but also, we do have the laws in place, the trespassing laws, the health and safety stuff that we deal with.
Well, there's a number there.
We don't want it impacting our community.
Well, that's the point I was going to make. If I was a business owner and I'm trying to portray a good front, I have a store, everything's clean. Last thing I want is a homeless person or two hanging around in front of me, right?
Right.
Excuse me. So, and that's what you get. And so I understand both sides of the subject. It's a difficult one, and I think you're right on with the faith-based help. My wife, Paula, she works once a month at the food bank, and that she volunteers her time for that, and we talk about how many families did you feed that day, and it's the average, I believe, is 30 to 40 families.
Sure.
And that's her one day that she's there, and then so yes, I think you're right on with that. And the other problem that we get with homeless is, and I hate to say this, but vaccinations and health issues that come along with the homeless people, that they don't take care of themselves.
No, you're right.
And they're a breeding ground. And I know I'm probably going to get phone calls on this one. 621-1210, 621-1210. Call me if I'm wrong.
He likes the phone calls.
Yeah, I like those phone calls. Call me if I'm wrong. But health-wise, they don't always take care of themselves. And we've got some flu situations that's going on in California right now that's kind of unique to California. N1F1, I believe, is what it is. It's a variant of that. And you get a group of people that don't take care of themselves health-wise as well as eating-wise and all of that. I think we have a bit of a breeding ground situation going on there. And that's one of those difficult areas, is how do you address that? So it'd be nice sometime maybe we'll get a doctor or even a nurse on the phone to talk about this a little bit, about how the medical profession deals with it.
Well, again, I believe there's a lot of resources out there even for that.
Sure.
Even for that.
There's some free clinics.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just getting those people in touch with them and keeping them in touch with it, so that we don't have those issues. But I believe, I think that the government needs to step back and let the community deal with it, and I think they will. The faith-based community especially.
Well, it's at least worth trying. I mean,
get out of their way.
Let's try it. Open those doors. Yeah, because we know the government's. Unfortunately, we need it, but we know how much it interferes.
Too big.
Yeah, well,
too big.
Too big.
Too big.
It is way too big. That's for sure. So okay. Hopefully that answered the homeless situation. We got some questions. A little tough. How do you answer it? Because we already asked, but we'll do a couple of these anyway. How about? Oh boy, we've covered a lot of this stuff already. You want to address the restraining order? Why do you tell to get a restraining order that they don't have to enforce it? And if I'm assuming law enforcement doesn't have to enforce it, and that's not true. If it's a court-ordered restraining order.
Yeah. Well, I want to. Let's back up a second here.
Right.
These questions are coming from a Facebook group, a local Facebook group called El Dorado County Watch.
Right.
And it's turned out to be a very, very beneficial group
Yeah.
that supports El Dorado County, watches what's going on. There's different sections for law. There's different sections for animal control. There's another section for this, section for that, and it's very beneficial because we need something in the county for that. And if we have time in the show, I want to talk a little bit later about our efforts at the sheriff's office and the importance of coming up with a plan and a program to deal with social networking and be a part of it.
Right.
So I understand, some of these. So these are posted questions to their Facebook account, their Facebook group.
Right. This is from their group.
This question, why do they tell you? They, I imagine, is deputy sheriffs.
I'm assuming.
Why do they tell you to get a restraining order and then they don't enforce it? Well, I don't know what this person's plight was, and I'm sorry if you don't feel like you were your situation was handled to your satisfaction. However, we have a place for that. You can come to the office, you can file a complaint, you can just talk to somebody. Like I said earlier, our vision statement, part of it's total care. We work for you. We want to work through this. Because the bottom line is if we are working with a victim of a crime and we're recommending that they get a restraining order or take it to the next level, that they get an emergency restraining order, an ERO.
Right.
And we go through the hoops to contact the judge and lay everything out, and the judge issues such order. That is a court order. We don't have a choice whether or not to enforce it or not. So, and then we don't enforce it. I'm not sure what the specific circumstances here, so I can't answer to your specific question. However, there is one thing that we do frequently see in law enforcement, and that is if you are getting your own restraining order or any other court order, no matter what it is or what it regards, please make sure that it is clear and concise. There's nothing worse than a deputy coming out to a site, a call for service, about an easement dispute, a civil dispute, but there are court orders in effect, but they're so vague or they're so complicated that it takes a surveyor to be able to read it. The court order should be able to be read by any layman, should be able to read it, and it should be clear and concise as to what it says. Those are where some confusions come in. I know I didn't answer your question. Again, I encourage you to call into the sheriff's office on the non-emergency line 621-6600, and we'll talk to you about it. We'll see what's going on or why you believe it wasn't enforced, what the issue is.
I'm going to make a wild-ass guess here and say that this is probably a domestic restraining order that they were talking about, I think, on this one. And then, you can't be at their door 24/7 and try and protect.
Exactly. And keep in mind, too, and I used to say this all the time when I worked patrol back when.
Horse and buggy?
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, a lot. A restraining order is really nothing more than a piece of paper. Yeah. It's not a shield. It's not a bulletproof shield. It's not a bulletproof vest. It's a piece of paper. Call us. Yes, we do enforce them if it's a court order. Absolutely. We don't have a choice. But please keep that in mind.
Right. Okay, well, next they went, that one, I think we answered that one. Why is trespassing in someone's house just a citation?
It's another one of those questions that without knowing the totality of the circumstances and what all the facts are, I really don't know how to answer that question. And I wrote on my little notes here, depends on the totality of the circumstances. If we're talking a citation could be a misdemeanor, citation could actually even be a felony, very rarely.
Violent. There's a violent misdemeanor rules, and so that
So just a citation for trespassing. If now you invited somebody to your house or whatever, they're getting out of hand, and now you're telling them to leave, and now it's a trespass or whatever. We'd show up and a citation or a citizen's arrest. Keep in mind that we have to take a citizen's arrest. It doesn't mean that we're going to take somebody into physical custody and take them to jail and book them. That is a judgment call that the deputy makes at the scene.
Right.
If he believes in his judgment and training and experience that a citation is going to be sufficient to alleviate the problem there till the courts can decide what to do, then he has the leeway to do that.
Right. Right.
So again, this is one of those that's hard to answer.
Wide open on this, because generally if you've got somebody that's in your home and you want them gone for whatever reason may be, and law enforcement is able to determine that, yes, you are the owner or the renter of that building, and that you have the right to say who or who doesn't want to come in, most of the time law enforcement will help remove that person, and there may be no citation involved with this. It may be just saying, look, you got to get out of here. They don't want you here. Let's go. Mm-hmm. So, why is it a citation? There may not be any citation at all on this type of thing. I don't know.
Or if it's it says trespassing in someone's house, but it could very well be a landlord-tenant dispute too.
It could be,
and that's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah.
That's eviction processes and all that other stuff.
Yeah, we'll let that one go for a next time. So you told me the good news on this. They're asking about the Georgetown substation. Here it's going to open up.
It is very shortly. I would say yesterday, but it's not.
Okay.
At Buffalo Center, the Smiths, God bless them, have been very, very kind and generous and donated some office space to us. It will be right up next to, I believe, if you're standing in front of the upper portion of the Buffalo Center, there is the Gazette, and then off to the right there was a I can't remember what was in there before, but it's vacant now. And our signage is just about ready to go up. I think a lot of the TI inside has already been done. It will be for now staffed exactly like the El Dorado Hills substation is, with a star, sheriff's team of active retirees, until we take a look at that and we see exactly how much traffic we're talking about.
Right.
If it doesn't justify having somebody there 5 days a week, then we'll probably tailor it back because the need will just not be there. However, we will still keep the office. Mm-hmm. We will probably have some time where it is open that the public knows that they can come. And what's the best part about it is when we do get this resident deputy program up and running, it will be that deputy's office, so to speak.
There you go.
And it'll be a fantastic spot for him to meet the public, talk with the public, take reports.
Sure.
For whatever reason.
So we hope we can get that going. I know we've been talking about that for a while. That's another one of those programs. So, we have a problem?
I just got a dry throat.
Oh, you. Yeah. There's no problem. It's just John. He's having problems talking. If you can believe that. No.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
There's actually a refrigerator behind Janine there, but have to pull the whole studio apart to get to it. Huh?
See how he is?
Hey, I'm here for you. Don't worry about it. All right. We've talked overcrowding in jail forever, and if you really want to know the answer to that one, folks, I hate to say it, but go back next 3 shows past this one, and you'll find an answer to every one of those, unless you really want to add something else. I mean, we've talked to realignment so much that
I'll just reiterate that, folks, we're very, very lucky in El Dorado County to be in the shape we are, in that we still have beds, and we are continuing to have beds. Still averaging about 100 beds open. We're still selling beds. Shasta County, Amador County, and Alpine County are all buying bed space from us. We're in good shape.
Good.
We're doing our best to keep it that way.
Excellent. That's what we want. By the way, once again, 621-1210. Give us a call and talk to the sheriff, 621-1210. All right, so does the Sheriff's Department plan to enforce the 2013 Board of Supervisors ruling that any medical marijuana dispensary not in a business 6 months prior to the October 2011 moratorium must close its doors? And that no new shops may be held?
Simple answer. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay. And also, of course, we talked about, we've actually covered this quite a bit too, about what initially was the plan for them. So it's all there. Go back and watch a couple of our shows, and it'll answer some of that too. Hey, I've got one that, as being, we're a media outfit here, mm-hmm. and a lot of times we go out on the road and we'll film things, and we're not always in the studio. But one of the things that I got an email from a person who was videotaping an officer during a stop. And the officer demanded that this person stop videotaping him. And so much in
One
this
of my
video.
deputies?
No.
Okay.
Not one of your deputies, but not that I know of, but I don't think it's here. Because it's another deputy, and I mean, he just went off on this guy and took his phone and took his property and got nuts basically about it. So tell me, what is the policy, at least for EDSO here, on filming a stop or a person filming an arrest or whatever it may be?
Okay. Well, the policy is the law,
Okay.
and the law's pretty clear. In the court, there's been quite a few court cases out there that have reiterated what the law already says. If you're in a place where you have a legal right to be and you want to video law enforcement's practices, what they're doing, how they're going about their business on a car stop, on a pedestrian contact, on a call for service or whatever, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that says you can't do that. What we ask, because if you cross the line, then you can be in trouble, is please do not interfere with what the officer or the deputy is doing in any way whatsoever. Don't interject yourself into the situation. Even though what you may see, you may not agree with at that time. Maybe you didn't see what led up to it, or maybe you don't have all the information. But absolutely you can film. Now, with that in mind also, keep in mind that in certain circumstances, that film, that video that you are taking may be evidence. We may need that for evidence. In such instances, we can secure that camera or that phone until such a time as we can get a search warrant or have other reasons to get that video and then give you your phone back or your camera back or whatever. That'd be a very rare instance, but it could happen. It could happen. There's frequent times when news media ends up becoming evidence in a case.
Right.
Maybe not even in a criminal case, but maybe a civil case down the road.
Sure.
So
no, I could see, if we were out there filming an incident or whatever, I would have difficulty if one of your officers says, I have to confiscate your camera.
I understand that. I understand you would. I totally understand that. However, if we work with you and said, hey, would you mind just coming down to the office with us and we can burn a copy? Mm-hmm. You'll be with us.
Well,
that's fine.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. We'll work. We will.
Giving them the media, like to record it on.
Well, even the media. I mean, you're still out.
Well, I don't want to give it up.
You don't want to give it up, and I understand that. And there's a fine line, and we, the total care, total enforcement, total professionalism, the total professionalism part. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we work what's in the best interest of the law, or by the law, and also what's in the best interest of you as an individual and a private citizen or a member of the media or whatnot. And again, I say that doesn't happen very often because it truly doesn't. But that could be. It could happen. Mm-hmm. You're the only one around with the camera, and you caught everything that's going on. The guy took 2 or 3 swipes at my deputy. Yeah. And, hey, look at that. He's got it. Thank you. I need that. Please work with me here.
Now, I understand that. So I'm good with that, but I know some of these things we've seen on, whatever television program where law enforcement's just gone total gonzo and, say, sorry, you can't record me and all of this. And it's liable to happen.
That's why sheriffs are elected.
Yeah.
And chiefs of police are, answer to a city council. Well, they're elected as well. Mm-hmm. So, keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay. So you're okay to film, but you may be asked to give a copy.
And please don't interfere. And please don't interfere.
Right.
In no way.
Right.
Just nothing good can come of it. Please.
Absolutely not. Well, I guess there's always a scenario where an officer could use help. Excuse me. But
I've been there.
Yeah. I mean, so maybe you could help.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I ever tell that story on the air?
Let's hear it.
Well, long time ago, I was working not back when horse and buggies.
Oh, good.
I was working patrol in Amador County in the Plymouth area, and there was a call of a rather irate subject walking down the road, screaming profanities. That's all it really was. and they gave a description. And I thought, I think I know who that is. So as I was rolling into town, sure enough, I see this gentleman walking down the road, and he's just walking, screaming out to everybody in the world, all F words and everything else. So I recognized the individual. I parked my car on the side of the road, and as he walked by me, I just said, "Hey," I said his name. "I need to talk to you. Let's talk a little bit here." And out of nowhere, the fight was on.
Oh.
He was taking me on.
Oh, boy.
And it was a fight for my life. I was fighting. He was trying to get my gun. I had got my pepper spray out. We were both covered in pepper spray. And the last thing I remember was he reached down and grabbed this rock, and he was just getting ready to beam me with this rock. And out of the blue, I call them my angels, these two guys showed up out of nowhere and helped me get this gentleman in cuffs. Got him in my patrol car, and as I was turning around to get their names for my report, they were gone.
Wow.
They were gone. I've since saw one, met him about 4 years ago.
Wow.
And the minute I saw him, I recognized him. And I said, "You're one of my angels." He goes, "You remember that?" I said, "Absolutely, I remember that. Who are you?"
Yeah.
You know? And we had a nice little visit. But, yeah, there are times when,
Yeah.
we can use a little
Good.
help.
So you never know. Sometimes everybody needs a little bit of help, especially since we've gone to single officers per cars. That's changed that situation a lot. Let's see here. What's a good one? Okay. Can police take a police report in a private parking lot, and if not, why?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
I don't understand why what the question
you know,
is.
there's a lot of people. I've heard this one before, and I guess what happens is that people think they can go into a private parking lot like Safeways or whatever, and officers can't enforce traffic laws or something. I don't know. I've heard people say that, and
Well,
okay, let's say, here's an example. There's a stop sign in a parking lot at Safeways, okay? But it's in their parking lot, and then it's private property, but there is a stop sign, and you just roll on through. And a deputy happens to be there.
you're going to get a ticket.
Okay.
You're going to get a ticket.
So even though that sign is actually private property and is owned by the property owner, that deputy can still give a ticket.
They assume all responsibility for that stop sign.
Sure.
But yeah, we're gonna
Isn't it?
give you a ticket.
Okay. All right. Well, fortunately, most deputies are not in the business of writing tickets.
We don't hang out at Safeway parking
Yeah,
lot.
that's
either.
right. Well, hey, don't say that. Starbucks is there, and I meet
Oh,
you
that's
guys
right.
there all the time.
That's right. Or
But-
with my deputies, more than likely, you'd get a warning.
Yeah.
You'd get a warning. Hey,
Hey,
there's
there's
a
kids
reason
and
the
things
stop
around
sign's
the lot,
there.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I understand that, but I think that's where this question was going to.
Okay.
Because we've seen it, so.
Well, we've heard, you frequently hear, well, I live in a private subdivision and the traffic laws aren't enforceable in here. Well, if you're driving drunk in your private subdivision, the DUI laws still apply.
Well, yeah, you had to get into that subdivision somehow, didn't you?
Well,
that means
yeah,
you
or
were
yeah.
on public roads.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
even if you're in there, you left your house and you just went driving around your subdivision and you are above the legal limit and you hit and kill a little kid riding their trike down
Yep.
at the end of their driveway.
That's right.
That would be vehicular manslaughter right there.
Yeah.
You're driving drunk. So, yes.
No, and that's not such good. I do so every now and then we watch the show Cops, and I love the one of the drunk guy on the driving lawnmower.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that
That
one.
one is just hysterical. I love that one. If you guys haven't seen it, you ought to watch it because it's really funny. This guy is totally toasted, and he's driving down on his riding lawnmower. Oh, okay. Next question. What happens when an officer is involved in a shooting? Boy, that's a kind of a real broad one. You want to cover a little bit of what happens?
Well, we have a whole protocol that kicks in. The minute that big red handle is pulled, everybody comes. We have a agreement and a policy with the district attorney's office, with the police departments, both South Lake Tahoe and Placerville, with probation. Everybody comes together, and it is a multi-jurisdictional investigation with multiple responsibilities taking place at the same time. We, the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office, has in the officer-involved shooting protocol. Obviously, we're looking at a couple things. We're looking at the criminal aspect of what just took place. We're also looking at the internal policy aspect of what just took place.
Right.
And we have to very carefully keep those two separate because they are separate. Typically, you hear on the news when a deputy is involved in an officer-involved shooting, he's been placed on administrative leave per policy.
Right.
There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Number one, we want to make sure that the mental health of that person is solid, that they're being taken care of, that they're okay. They've just been involved in a very, very traumatic event. It's out of the norm. It's not the thing that normal people deal with day to day.
That's right. Guys go their whole careers.
It's a huge
for
deal,
that.
absolutely.
Right.
So we want to make sure that they're okay. And they go off duty for a few days. Old school was immediately you took their gun. We've since learned that, yes, we need that gun for evidence, but we replace it. In a mindset of a law enforcement officer, that's one of his major tools.
Right.
And when you take that away from them, you've automatically, subconsciously said, you can't be a cop now.
Yeah.
You've been in this. We're going to neuter you and take away your gun. So we don't do that anymore. We take one and we automatically replace it. Couple other things that we're very, very careful about in an officer-involved shooting is how we treat everybody. Not only our deputies, but also the person that was involved in the officer-involved shooting, the suspect. I'm very careful on, and everybody is very careful when you roll up to a scene. Typically, given the totality of the circumstances and the information that we have at the time, there is a known suspect. When medics roll up, they will ask, "Where's the victim?" You got to be very careful in the subconscious mindset of that officer, of that deputy, that you recognize him as the victim. The suspect is the suspect. The victim is the victim. We're very careful there. Then you have CSI. They come in and they do everything.
Right.
Everything is documented. You collect everything. You photograph everything. You should be able to go into court at some later date and time, if you ever have to, and recreate that scene. That's your ultimate goal. And collect any evidence, any and all evidence that you can. At the same time all this is happening, you have both the district attorney's office conducting their, assisting with the investigation so that they can conduct and give their final ruling. You have, like I said, the internal affairs, the policy side of it taking place and going on. You have the Peace Officers' Bill of Rights that we also have to keep in mind and adhere to and respect with interviewing the deputies. We ask them to go over everything again. In a very controlled environment so that they're as relaxed as we can, but yet we get everything. We get all the facts because you get one shot.
Yeah. Does the officer at that point have representation?
He does.
Okay.
He does. Absolutely, he does. He or she does. I know I'm probably missing a few things, but it is a huge, huge process.
Is there representation from a personal lawyer, or is it one provided by the Sheriff's Department?
For the deputy?
Yeah.
The deputy's representation is of his choice.
Right. And now
His or her
they have a
choice.
union
Yes.
and a union rep too,
Yes.
so
Yes.
yeah, it could be either.
Yes. So it's big. I mean, when, like I said, when the big red handle is pulled, it's a big deal, and we take our time. People, oh my gosh, the road was closed for 10 hours,
Yeah,
12
well,
hours.
There's a lot
you
of
know what?
evidence. You gotta.
If we don't
That's right.
cross all those T's and dot all those I's,
You can't go back.
You can't go back.
Right.
You got one shot. And we have a very thorough investigations division. All the other agencies that send personnel, that respond to these scenes. They're experienced investigators with that know their job and understand the importance of it and the seriousness of it. And it is absolutely looked at through a very skeptical lens. They always are. It's for good reason, for obvious reason. We look at it through a very critical lens. But you also have to keep in mind, and the courts have been very clear on this, it is not just what is reasonable to you or me. It is what was reasonable at the time of that deputy standing in that spot under those circumstances, making that split-second decision.
Right.
That's what you have to look at it through. You can Monday morning quarterback everything till you're blue in the face. But what were the facts known to that deputy at that point in time when he made that critical decision to use deadly force?
Right. Well, we could use your example of that fight that was on with that guy, and he's about ready to smash you with a rock. You could have felt in fear of your life for that.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
And could very well have shot
The problem
this guy.
was I couldn't get to my gun because his hand was on my gun, and I was holding his hand to keep him from getting my gun.
So so he had an angel too that day.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
He could have been dead from it as well.
Absolutely.
In the concealed weapons courses that we teach, one of the things that I bring up, we get the question all the time. Well, when can I use the gun? And that's a pretty difficult question. And it's the same thing for an officer. He's got to be in fear. That person is going to injure yourself, injure himself, injure someone else with great bodily harm to be the outcome. And in California Penal Code, it states that you can't use force greater than the force that's being applied. So, that's a very tough question. And for the civilians out there, for us that have concealed weapons permits, you're going to be run through the ringer. Just put it that way. It's not going to be an easy thing.
Your life will change.
Your life will change. Just like it does for an officer.
Absolutely.
Same thing. Their life changes forever. And should that shooting causing death, then it really changes your life seriously. So it's the same thing in law enforcement. In other words, it's that situation at that time, and like you said, it's very easy to Sunday quarterback that thing in the chair, sitting back, saying, "Oh, that guy didn't have to do that," and it's very easy to get into that mindset. So, good point. That you got to look at it at that time. What happened?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So it's a big deal.
Oh yeah,
we don't want to ever go through it, but we do. The nature of
it happens. Yeah, and it happens. I think you and I a long time ago talked about this, but we can bring it back a little bit too. One of the other concerns that I have in my CCW classes are these no-knock warrants. There have been examples throughout the country. It's been small, thank God, but there's been accidents made on both sides where either the homeowner has erred and killed the loved one, or the law enforcement got the wrong house and somebody was just defending their house and got shot because of it. It's a very difficult situation. How does the department look at when a no-knock warrant is issued? How do you dot your I's and cross your T's before you get to that point and SWAT's out and everything's there?
It's a no-knock warrant is a very rare occurrence. It should be issued under very rare circumstances where there is the overwhelming need for the suspect or whoever you're going after or going for. The overwhelming need of safety of not just us, but also the community is at stake here. I've only served, I think maybe I can only think of one no-knock warrant in my entire career, and it was a drug search warrant. Multiple buys into this one location, drug buys by an informant. Through a couple other sources, we learned that The suspect knew we were coming for him. We had set up surveillance around the house for days trying to get him or somebody coming or going.
Right.
With a regular warrant because we wanted to maybe catch the suspect outside. And then it came to the point where I think we had some other information that he was going to harm somebody or I can't remember the specifics. But we requested and were authorized a no-knock warrant by the judge.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. The judge has to sign off on a no-knock warrant.
Right.
And that was the one occasion where I came this close to meeting my maker. The suspect was laying in wait inside the house. I was a point man through the door, and I don't know how he didn't. The second man through the door caught him with the 12-gauge shotgun coming up at me. But those are circumstances where, the argument can be made, well, geez, why don't you just wait? Just wait. Again, there were reasons there why we couldn't wait.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't wait. There were other people involved. There was other people's safety involved. If we would have waited, then maybe their blood would have been on our hands as well. So, yes, absolutely. Do I think that it has been abused? Sure, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Just like a lot of things in our business has been abused. That's why like I say, I'm trying to break down those barriers and those walls and start doing things better.
Right.
But there is a time and a place for them.
Right.
There is a time and a place for them.
Yeah, and it's got to be a real dangerous situation. We had, before you were sheriff, and I think it was Barker's time or not, we had a small incident in El Dorado County that happened with a probation officer.
Kicking the wrong door. Yeah, I vaguely remember something about
Wrong
that.
door, wrong place. Everything was wrong, and this homeowner was just defending himself. He didn't know who this guy was, and then finally the guys with the uniforms came in, and the DA at that time was just out of his mind. Charged this guy.
Yeah.
It
should have been. We're very, very, very sorry.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's wrong with saying you're sorry if you make a mistake.
Oops, that might save a lot of time and money. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. And everybody went on, you guys have got to be kidding me. But that showed the ignorance of, as far as I was concerned, the DA at that time, and I won't mention Gary's name, but it was my opinion that it was wrong. And it was found to be wrong. Hey, get on here. What the heck?
That's right.
We're all friends.
If you don't like it, don't watch.
It's public record anyway, so I'm not worried about it. But no, but that always is that has to be a concern. So it's good to know that all of this. You guys really do your research and you know what you're doing, because it would be so tragic to be at the wrong point at the wrong time.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Especially at the night, middle of the night.
Juju. That's bad juju.
Bad.
That's
Bad.
That's
It
bad.
would have to be bad for everybody.
That's bad.
I played that scenario in my head a lot. What would? What if? And it's frightening.
Yeah.
So again, in my concealed weapons courses, it's one of those things we talk about. You've got to be pretty damn careful about what's going on.
That's a good segue into that number 6.
So what happens when someone files a complaint against an officer?
Depends on what the complaint is. All complaints are treated very, very seriously. To me, they are. We have an independent internal affairs investigations division. Mm-hmm. They're under the support services division of our sheriff's office. And we take complaints very, very, very seriously. And we investigate them thoroughly. Now, where the problems arise, and I completely understand, and I am absolutely, I understand their frustration. When an internal affairs investigation or a complaint is initiated on a deputy or on a deputy, 99.9% of the time, the complainant will only get notified that it was the allegations were sustained, were not sustained, or were unfounded. That's all they're going to find out. Mm-hmm. And that is due to the Peace Officers' Bill of Rights and case law and everything else.
Sure.
They won't know what took place in the investigation. They won't know what statements were made. They won't know what discipline, if any, was rendered. They won't know. They can't. They can't find that out. Under very, very limited circumstances can they find that out. And 99.9% of the time, like I said, they won't.
Right.
But I can assure you, and I take complaints very seriously. It takes, there's a funny thing in law enforcement, it takes 10 attaboys to erase one bad thing in your file. So deputies take them very seriously as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, as long as our deputies they're abiding by the Constitution and they're following our vision statement, it keeps the complaints to a minimum.
Right.
Do we have them? Absolutely. You can't make everybody happy all the time in this business. But again, when we look through the totality of the circumstances, whether the allegations were sustained, unfounded, or unsustained, the complainant will probably never know other than those findings.
Right. Well, and I tell people, you know what? Law enforcement people are people too,
That's right.
and anybody can have a bad day and somebody can take it wrong. But, you got to be professional. And then sometimes, we've all had bad days.
Yep.
And, hopefully it doesn't happen very often. So, did we go through all the questions? What do you got? You got any more?
Pretty much did. Can I introduce somebody we have here today?
Sure. We can introduce. Janine?
Hello.
We can't get you on camera real quick. You want to stick your head in a minute?
Come here.
Come in here.
This is my wife.
There she is.
For everybody out there, that a lot of people in the county know who she is. But for those that aren't, this is the gal that keeps me straight.
Hi, everybody.
She does. Here, let's move this mic a little bit closer to you. But why don't you talk a little bit about your Thrive and what what you're doing with that? People probably don't know a whole lot about it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, Thrive, our organization is called Thrive with 1035. And 1035 is a 10 code, as you know, and it actually means backup support. So we founded this organization to give support to the families of the law enforcement, every employee in the sheriff's office, whether it's from the front desk over to the jail or the deputies on the street. And we have quarterly meetings where we provide classes and support for the spouses, significant others, and just kind of provide them with tools to thrive during their loved ones' careers.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. It's a great thing. And I had a good opportunity to work with Thrive and teach a basic firearm course, which was fun. And I think that was very helpful. Yeah. That was very helpful, I believe, for everybody. That was a good one. So
Yeah, we had a great turnout for that.
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that worked out really well. So that, really great job, and helping out everybody in the department from the bottom up. So
No, thanks. We have a great time and we have a lot of support. So
that's
we really
super.
appreciate it.
And thanks for
happy
taking
to
care
be
of this
there.
guy right here.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to take care
I
of
signed
him.
up a long time ago for that one.
27 years.
Well, good for
27
you.
years.
All right,
Yeah.
all right,
So-
good. Yeah. So, and the kids are how old now?
Oh gosh, they're
31,
Yeah.
27, 24, and almost 18.
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, two
So-
grandbabies and one on the way.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, good for you guys.
Well, thank you.
Good.
It was nice to
Thanks,
meet
thanks,
everybody.
Janine. Good for everybody out there. You got to see the better half.
The better half.
The better half. That's what I always say. Jeez, we don't want to get in trouble here, but hey, I'm really sorry nobody called in today. Give you one more minute for 621-1210. We're running down on time here. You guys got this new vehicle. I wanted to just touch bases on it. I'd seen pictures of it. Let's just talk about it for a moment. You've got something that can be used during a important or dangerous shooting situation vehicle, right?
The Lenco Bearcat. We purchased it out of asset seizure funds, so dope dealers paid for it. We had an option of going with one of the things to look at. Well, I'll back up. We had an old Peacekeeper. We also had a Peacekeeper in Amador, where I came from. A Peacekeeper is an armored personnel rescue vehicle. Really wasn't that armored as we thought. I was asked to test it when I was over there, and it didn't really stop much other than handguns and up to even including sometimes a .223 depending on the type of bullet. So that's what we had over here, and it was wore out. We were putting more money into it just to keep it running than we could do when it was worth. So then we look at, okay, what are our options? Through the government 1033 program, the government surplus program, you hear of a lot of agencies getting these MRAPs and these other armored vehicles. I guess that's a pretty cost-effective way to go, except for the fact that the military parts and military electronics and everything military is different than everything civilian. So to convert it, to make it work, to keep it up would have been a pain. So there's a few other companies out there. The one we ended up going with was the Linco Bearcat. It is the Bear stands for Ballistic Emergency something. I can't remember.
That's all right. I have the same problem.
But it cost $291,000. The vehicle, I'm telling you, it is worth it because this vehicle will save lives. It has already assisted. I firmly believe in the successful, quicker resolution of a couple barricaded hostage type situations.
Right.
Were just the mere presence of the Bearcat. One of them, real quick story. Suspect was wanted for a homicide out of the Bay Area, one of the Bay Area counties. Was tracked down to a house here in El Dorado County. There was a perimeter set up. There was a surrounding call out that was set up. No response. He was there was other people in the residence as well. We were worried that he was holding them hostage. We rolled the Bearcat up to the front of the house, got on the PA and said, look, basically we do mean business. We're not just here to be here. He looked out the window and immediately went, oh,
I'm done,
and gave up. That's I mean, if you think about it, that's huge. That is. Yeah. Who knows what could have happened or what would have happened or how long it would have gone or time is on our side in those situations usually, so we take time.
Right.
But in any situation, this vehicle, it will stop up to and including .50 caliber. It is based on a Ford F450 chassis. It has fantastic radio capabilities, communications capabilities. It will keep our guys safe. It will keep the community safe if we have to rescue somebody in a very bad situation. And it's a very, very useful tool that will save lives.
So maybe old guy tech can come out and take a picture of this thing?
Absolutely.
Maybe I could drive it?
I don't know about that. I've only got to drive it once.
Well,
they've only let me drive it one time. And I said, hey, give me the keys.
Yeah. You can do that. I can't. Maybe I'll
we
talk
could
nice
do that. We could set something up.
Okay.
We could set something up.
That would be fun to go out and do that. That would be neat. I guess the last thing to wrap up, how are we doing on the new facilities situation?
We are hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, we will be at the Board of Supervisors, or the Site Selection Committee will be at the Board of Supervisors with a list of sites that have been filtered through the matrix and have come out the other side and ranked high. There are quite a few parcels. However, obviously, some are more attractive than others. I am purposely staying out of this. This is the board's job. I pray that they don't let politics get involved in it. I hope that they look at this as it should be. This is a business venture and a business decision.
Right.
And they look at it simply as that and make the best use of the taxpayers' dollars and make the best choice for the best site location for a new sheriff's headquarters. And don't let politics get in the mix, because I guarantee you it will take this project from a simple decision and a simple negotiation to a long-term headache.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that type of situation is not unheard of in this county.
Imagine that.
Yeah, politics sometimes are just
Yeah.
will ruin anything.
This team is a team of experts that have spent a lot of time going through this matrix, a very non-biased, very objective approach to what the needs are, what the county's requirements that they set out, what they need in a site, and they've watched them through. And what's come out the other side is it's the most objective process that it could have been done. When you start putting emotions and personal beliefs and everything else into this process, it's going to mess it up. And I'm praying that doesn't happen.
Yes, let's hope it doesn't, because like I said, it's happened in this county before, and we don't want to see a repeat of that. So good, that's good. That'll be a good thing. Hopefully, that'll get rolling, and that site selection will be done in closed doors, folks. So
I believe it's March 25th that there will be sunshine in open session by law.
Okay,
and then the negotiations go into close.
Good. Yeah, that'll be good. Well, that'll be a great thing. Well, John, once again, it's been a really good hour with you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Janine, thanks for coming. I really appreciate that. And John, congratulations.
Thank you.
Nothing like being unimposed, so we'll have fun again. And hey, listen, you out there in TV land, this is Rob with Old Guy Tech TV. Hey, hit that donation button if you can. It'll help us go a little bit longer. And remember, it's theogt.tv. And at 5 o'clock today, we have Mike Owens, who's running for Auditor Controller, going to be in studio live. And why don't you watch that and call in too, because it's time to answer some of the questions that you've been wanting to have answers to. So thank you very much. See you next time. This is Rob, Old Guy Tech TV. Bye.